Hi, my name is Dawn McMillan. I'm daughter of Dr. Charles M. Allen, retired botanist of Louisiana. He is retired from Fort Polk, and he used to teach at University of Louisiana at Monroe and LSU at Eunice. Now that he's retired, he does a lot of teaching on the side and gives tours all over the place. And also, we travel sometimes just to look at butterflies or moths or plants. So, I decided to create a series of YouTube videos for people to also enjoy his knowledge. And this is what it is. Also, my husband owns Almost Eden Plants, and if we mention any plants that my husband has available, I will include that in the video. Both Allen Acres Bed and Breakfast and Almost Eden Plants link is below this YouTube, so make sure if you want to find out more info, you can click on there. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe at the bottom. So I hope you enjoy this first set of series. This one's called Evergreen Trees and Shrubs at Allen Acres Bed and Breakfast. Enjoy. Bye.
Welcome to Allen Acres. We're trying to emphasize a lot about nature. We try not to add any invasive species, trying to deal with native species, but we do have a number of non-natives here, a few of non-natives here. Not, I wouldn't say a number, but a few that are here. Some were here already, some we brought in for that. And we have been accumulating numbers of different kinds of organisms, and so far, and then these numbers go up and down, and it can go up more depending on when we add more to them. But right now we have 549 plant species on Allen Acres. I think it's more than that. We got to work with that. We have over 1,100 moth species. We have 75 butterfly species, 68 birds, 27 dragonflies and damselflies, 233 fungi, 36 spiders. We also have small numbers of snakes and amphibians and things like that. But we don't have a lot of water, so we don't have a lot of aquatic type things. And what we're going to do with this one is to go through some of the evergreen trees and shrubs that are here on the property. So we'll try to show you the different ones and how to recognize, how to identify the ones that are evergreen, either a tree or a shrub, as we go through today. Okay. There are two very common small trees and shrubs. One is a non-native and one is a very important native. The difference between the two is pretty obvious. This is the native, this is Yaupon, a very important plant for people to make tea out of, and lots of people in the past. As far as I know, it's the only plant in our area with caffeine. So there are several other plants that were brought in that have caffeine, but this is the only native. Ligustrum, and ligustrum is a very terrible invasive that takes over a lot of areas. They look a lot, they're both evergreen, they both have leaves that are sort of the same shape when you look at them. But if you look at the arrangement, if you look at this plant, which is the ligustrum, you see how the leaves are in pairs. This is opposite talk about that later too in other situations. And here they're alternate, so easy to recognize. Yaupon's alternate, the waxed ligustrum or the ligustrum is opposite. So these are two. Scientific names: Ilex vomitoria for Yaupon, ligustrum sinense for the waxed ligustrum. This is Osmanthus americanus, called Devilwood. More, the name comes from how hard the wood is to work, so very difficult to work. Has wonderful smelling white flowers, and its original range is east of the Mississippi, but people plant it because of its evergreen character, and also it has wonderful smelling white flowers. And the best way to recognize it is to take your fingers and roll along the margin. I don't know if you can see it, but the margins are enrolled. So the margins are rolled under, so you can recognize it that way. There is a common cultivated one too in the same genus out there. So anyway, wonderful plant that we've had here on our property. We have two of them on our property. Evergreen leaves, there have spines on the edge of the leaves. It's the largest holly that we have. It actually turns into a tree. Of course, hollies are dioecious, now meaning that you have male trees and female trees. This happens to be a female tree because it has the fruits. Now, most of the fruits are red. This is an unusual one that the people over at Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, Texas, selected one with yellow fruits, and this one has yellow fruits. We have a lot of native ones on the property that would have red fruits, but we also have this yellow fruited one, so very interesting plant. It also makes a wonderful tea. You can dry the leaves of American holly and roast them in the oven, get them good and dry, then add hot water. And some people that have come to my classes, edible plant classes, have actually liked the American holly tea better than other teas that are served. So this is a wonderful plant. This is wax myrtle, a wonderful plant that you can use to make the leaves have a wonderful odor. You can dry and make a tea out of it. You can dry and make it into a spice. It also makes gray fruits that birds love. And so this one's not going to get much bigger than maybe a large shrub, a small tree for that, but an evergreen, wonderful plant called wax myrtle people that I grew up, my parents would tell me to put it where the dogs would sleep and it would keep fleas away. So, and some people call it myrtle bush in this area of Louisiana. So myrtle bush, wax myrtle, very important plant that's an evergreen that was here already. So this is a native that we just keep going and keep it from getting destroyed. People planted this a lot in front of banks over the years, so a good bit of wax myrtle around the state. This is Chinese abelia chinensis. Might as well not have common names. But it has opposite leaves, it's evergreen, but it's one of the best nectar plants for butterflies we found. So it is an evergreen, we really like it here. We keep adding it because of the way it brings in so many butterflies to drink the nectar. And you can see the leftover pink flowers from last year here. Eastern red cedar is a very interesting plant. Can be made into a tea. The fruits that it makes, which are really not fruits, they're truly cones, can be used in different ways. In fact, it's used to change vodka to gin. Gin has an odor and it's from the cedar tree. Cedar trees was also very important for people for Christmas trees in the past. When I grew up in an area with lots of pine trees, we didn't want a pine tree, so we used the cedar tree for our Christmas tree. We'd go out and cut one. So what we have here is a labyrinth, and we'd have to work on cutting it up and making it passable inside. But this is one of the Allen Acres things is to have labyrinths. We have a labyrinth here made out of cedar. We have another labyrinth up front made out of a vetiver grass from India. So we like those, and we need to fix those up as summer comes along so people can walk through a labyrinth. 250-watt mercury vapor light on top, and like I said earlier, quite a few moths that we get, and lots of people come here just to see the moths. Because we're probably the only place in the world with 20 moth sheets out, so that's one of the reasons we have so many moth species. Native magnolia, very important in Louisiana. It's our state flower, but notice the leaves are big, they're evergreen, so it's pretty easy to recognize, and hopefully in a moment we'll see another magnolia when we get a little bit further along the trail. But this can get to be a giant tree, 50, 60, 70 feet tall, and there are some bigger ones on the property. Of course, then we wouldn't be able to see the leaves, but that's Magnolia grandiflora. This is horse sugar. It's evergreen in this part of the country, but as you go a little further north, it becomes deciduous. The leaves are very interesting. You can chew the leaves, and they taste like apple peelings. So supposedly people in the past used it to relieve thirst. There are a number of plants whose leaves look like this, but this one is different in that the the wood has chambered pith. There are cavities within the pith of this one. Not many plants have that, so it helpful for identification for the horse sugar. Horse sugar used to be a small tree. Doesn't live very long. I've seen several of them die in my lifetime. So for the horse sugar, very interesting plant out here. And it makes yellow flowers when it does flower. And then it makes these weird shaped fruits that distribute, but I think a lot of them spread by underground growth. So there are several right here in the area. Fetterbush from Florida, maybe the Carolinas, I'm not sure, but from Florida to here. And I used to tell people this was as far west in the United States it was, but I showed some people from Texas how to identify it, and they went back and found it just right across the Sabine River. So this is almost as far west as it was in the United States. Now, this plant is like the one we had earlier where the margin of the leaf is rolled under, like the one that we had earlier, but that one had opposite leaves, and this one has alternate leaves, so very different plant altogether. So, and this was a shrub, and that was a tree that we had earlier that we had rolled under margins. This is another magnolia. This one's usually found in wet areas, but I've seen it planted quite a bit. This is called sweet bay magnolia, or my ancestors called it white bay, because when you take the leaf and flip it over, it's very white on the undersurface. So this one can be used in similar ways as magnolia for spices and so forth. Some people once, I heard, mixed it with sassafras to make filets, so it's been very interesting use with the magnolia. Virginiana, or sweet bay magnolia, or white bay, as my ancestors called it. This is a very different holly. First, it's evergreen, and second, it's found in what's called a baygall, or edge of a bog, and right behind us is a baygall. This is low, mostly low shrub, evergreen shrubs, and this one, holly, is so different too, in that it has black fruits instead of red or yellow fruits, or black fruits on the Holly coriacea. Gallberry. This is the gallberry. Yeah. The gallberry with its evergreen leaves and black fruits, and then